Hello, everyone. My name is Yawer Iqbal, and welcome to Scottish Summit 2021. I'm presenting accessibility in Power Platform projects. Since this is a live session, from time to time, I will be looking and checking everything is going fine. And before starting my presentation formally, I want to say thanks to our sponsors for their support because these community events they can't be they can't be organized without support from sponsors. Really, we really acknowledge and appreciate their support. And let's begin the topic. My name is Yawer Iqbal. I have joined from Melbourne, Australia. I live here with my family, and by profession, I am a solution architect. On my daily basis, I work with Dynamics 365, customer engagement, sometime Azure, Office 365, overall Microsoft ecosystem. I am involved in community activities as a speaker and as a blogger. I am also I also have some involvement in organizing local events. That is all about me, and here are my connection details. If we are not connected already, I will love to connect with you. Please send me a connection request. And agenda for today, my topic, I have divided this topic into three segments. First, I will be discussing what accessibility is and why we should follow accessibility. Second part will be about accessibility, how to achieve accessibility in our projects. Third part will be accessibility in Power Platform projects. So particularly when we are working with Power Platform, what things we needs to consider to make our projects accessibility compliant. And with that, before starting my first segment, I will encourage everyone to get involved. This is a community event, and one way to say thanks to organizers and speakers can be uh, to be social and let people know what together we are doing. This is a mutual learning. I will also love to have your questions, and if you want to add something, but probably end will be the best time for that. So I may have time to cover whatever I have planned. Okay, everything is good. Okay, now starting my discussion about what accessibility is and why it is important. In this slide, if you see, I have collected a few thumbnails of uh, of some of the community leaders and a few people you can recognize. They are organizer of this event, and few of them are volunteer in Scottish Summit. But in no way this is a ranking of people who are doing community work. Basically, the message I'm trying to convey here is this is a group of people. Some have more contribution than others, and they all belongs to different cultures. They speak their first language might be different. They might have born in different countries, but for a single cause they are working together. They all love Microsoft ecosystem, and they are working to promote that. This is such a nice and lovely concept, and in our corporate environment we have a specific word to describe it: diversity. So overall messages, we have differences, but still people are working together. The next slide also have some thumbnails, and these are again reflection of some differences. But unfortunately, differences are not always limited to just culture or first language people speak. Many times, a few times differences are about natural abilities people get. Painfully, I am referring here disabilities. As per statistics from World Health Organization, almost 15% world's population have some sort of they have some sort of disabilities. And by the way, if you will check on a search engine about these statistics, this is the most conservative statistics which I have picked. A few statistics say population of people who have any type of disability, it might be more than 15%. Another way of looking at it is 1 in 5 individuals have some sort of accessibility requirements. I will quickly, yeah, my session is live and everything is good. When we are talking about disabilities, we can group disabilities in 6 categories. A person can have one or more type of disabilities. It can be partial disability or complete blockage of functionality. And people who have any type of disability, usually to carry out their daily life works, they need to use some sort of device or sometime some applications. So basically accessibility guidelines help those people carrying out their work on daily basis a little easily. Fortunately, this concept is not very new. We already have that recognition in community when people are designing services or products. But the benefit of accessibility consideration are not just limited to people who have any disability. Basically, there are a few situations when any person can get benefit of accessibility considerations. Like sometimes few people can have temporary disabilities, situational limitations like maybe very bright light or very dim display, that sort of things. People with the change of age, sometimes abilities also change. Inexperienced technology users or people who who are not very expert on using smart devices, that is another segment of population who get benefit of accessibility considerations. Consumers of specialized terminology, and of course last in this list is people with low literacy skills. And if I try to recap what accessibility is, accessibility is basically making services and products, considering to make them available for as many people as possible, especially those people who have any sort of additional requirements. Why we should care for accessibility? Basically, all our education, all our theologies, all our social standards, all these things teach us to not to be doing any discrimination with people. But when we are talking about corporate work, there is another thing which is probably a little more important. That is law. In all modern countries, law prohibits us to discriminate people based on any disability. And when business is following accessibility guideline, they are not just doing something ethically, they also get some business or commercial benefits. They are covering wider audience, they are providing better services, and of course less discrimination and complaints. And they are fulfilling their social responsibility and gaining positive PR for them. That was a little recap of first session. We have discussed what access what accessibility is, why it is important. Now we will discuss how access what are sort of accessibility guidelines and how to achieve those standards. And I will quickly turn and see live session is going fine. That's great. There are more than one accessibility standards available, and particularly I want to refer in a few European countries and also in USA government departments. They follow a little different guideline, but overall, the most publicly acceptable standard is called Web Content Accessibility Guideline, or WCAG. WCAG is organized or maintained by W3C organization, and WCAG has two versions. First version was WCAG 2.0, and it was released in December 2008. Second version 2.1 was released in 2018, and that is latest version, and it covers like things which are more specific to modern devices like smartphones or tablets. But in no way we please don't consider like initial version is deprecated. Basically 2.1 is available on top of 2.0. So to achieve 2.1 we will need to comply with all rules or guidelines of 2.0 as well. under these two Under these two standards there are three different levels: A, double A, and triple A. A is the excuse me, A is the most easy standard to achieve, and triple A is the most difficult standard to achieve, and they are progressive. To achieve double A, one first will have to achieve A standard, A level, and to achieve triple A project will need to be complying with double A and single A as well. So just a little detail. With all these standards, there is that is a little math now. Uh, to achieve A level, a project or team will need to comply 30 rules or 30 guidelines. For double A, that number is 45, and for AAA that count is 66, and this is with WCAG 2.1. If we are dealing with a project with just with 2.0, that count will be of course less, and we will be less need to comply with a few rules. Okay, I think I have covered this slide before. For testing, an interesting thing is there are around more than 100 tools available. For accessibility testing, like we can use a few free tools as well, and of course commercial and paid tools are better, and they are available in almost all varieties as a desktop, as a browser add-on, and as a software as a service as well. And some of these are manual and some of these are automated tools. We have covered a few basics. We have discussed what accessibility is. We have discussed what are accessibility tools, how many tools we have. These are a little segregated details. Now, in a minute, let's connect these dots. So, whenever we are complying a project, whenever we are trying to make a project accessibility compliant, we from within our team someone will needs to do accessibility testing using tools, and based on the reports we will be doing some fixes or changes. A few times people hire specific accessibility testers, and many times there are specialized organizations which provide these services. They do testing on a project, and then they provide reports, and based on those reports development team or consultants do changes or they do fixes. So this is the cycle, and once a level of accessibility is achieved, that project, if it is a public website, they can use the logo to indicate they have achieved a certain level. But please consider, it is not just about putting a logo, it is about providing better service. To learn more about accessibility, I want to refer these two links. Basically, both of these are maintained by W3C organization. Web Accessibility Initiative, that is a sort of some videos and some documents, a little detail about learning about to learn about accessibility. On the other hand, web content accessibility guideline, these are detailed documents which have details about accessibility rules. So these documents tells, okay, if we are missing, if we need to follow a particular accessibility rule, Basically, that guideline will tell what that rule is, what is the intent of that rule, what are a few things which one needs to do to fulfill the requirements, and of course there are examples as well. I will quickly see any question, but everything looks good until now. And with that, I'm about to start my third part, which is uh, which is about making Power Platform projects accessibility compliant. I got a chance to work on in Australia in a government project. I got a chance to work on making a project to be accessibility compliant. That was really an interesting time. It was 2018 when in for Dynamics 365 customer engagement we were having a classical web user interface, and initially our scope or our project was not to it was not a UI upgrade project, but things started happening and finally we have to be ended in UI upgrade as well. I will share a few details. We started project as with classical user interface, and over accessibility tester they reported a few issues. First example which I'm showing here is they found if as per with different display settings, a few times some part of text or user interface they don't remain completely visible. So that was a problem. It was against accessibility rules, and people who need additional requirements, even if we leave, if we don't talk about additional requirements, even like any user who might be have no additional accessibility needs, he or she will like to see whatever completely written is. Second issue was a little interesting. If you remember that particular UI element, what was happening when someone use application just with keyboard, pressing on tab, mouse cursor start moving just between these fields. So from here, first name it will come to last name. Pressing tab again, it will move to done, and if I press tab again, it will go again to first name. So that was sort of loop. That was another interesting issue. I never noticed that, even though working with same user interface a few years. That was also happening when people were using just they were trying to use application just with a keyboard, pressing tab a few times. What was happening was headers of the grid and data rows they become apart, and we can see what sort of appearance it is giving, and it becomes difficult for users to conceive details. And last was a few times when data was missing, instead of telling it is clear data, uh, user interface was just showing some abnormal characters, and it was a problem if someone was using screen reader to read the screen. So that was the issue. What was happening after all these issues, since we don't have much control on UI of Dynamics 365 customer engagement of that time, and today we call them often model driven apps. So we were what we were doing, we were always lodging support requests with Microsoft, and always, not always, but most of the time, response from Microsoft was to move to unified user interface, because Microsoft, that was one of the solutions which Microsoft provided to address accessibility requirements. And unified user interface was designed from the beginning keeping accessibility requirements in mind. I will quickly go through and show same issues, how they appear with new UI. We can see even with a larger view, text is completely readable. No suppression between headers and data rows. For empty rows, it is same way for all of them. It is showing empty. empty dots, but it is readable. And these things were a few examples how they were fixed. Now, if we need to comply our model driven apps and canvas apps, one thing to get started which is very easy is to use solution checker and app checker, particularly with app checker in canvas apps. That provides really comprehensive guideline. If we are missing anything, particularly in term of accessibility, it just gives details, also provide like general understanding what needs to be done, how to fix that issue. Solution checker yet is not completely about accessibility. It checks a few other issues as well, but for web resources, it also report accessibility issues as well. And when we are talking about power platform project, what we needs to test, there are many things. Of course, portal being their publicly availability, that should be a priority. Web resources, when we are using our web resources or our PCF controls, even those should also be compliance with accessibility requirements. Canvas apps, of course, model-driven apps. If we are using any web resources, or if we are designing a model-driven app from the beginning, and of course native apps. Last but not least is Power BI reports and dashboards. So these are a few things which we will need to test, or we can consider testing in terms of accessibility, depending our priorities and how we are aiming, what are our goals for that project. Now, in this slide, that I want to share a few learnings and a few things which I experienced. What things can help anyone if they are doing a power platform project and they are aiming for access accessibility compliant. First thing is decide early. In this project, which I referred particularly, we were doing development from almost 1.5 year, and then we come to know, okay, this project will be accessibility compliant. So it becomes difficult that time. We already had done much work, and of course that was not in compliance with accessibility standards, so we have to redo a lot of things. So that is my first learning or first sharing. Decide early. When we are scoping, probably that is the best time to decide if project will be accessibility compliance or not. Team training. In team, I'm referring developers, consultants, testers, even project managers as well. Project managers and I mean anyone who is involved in an agile team, because people are working together, they needs to understand what accessibility is and how to achieve accessibility standards. So a basic training, even a basic session similar to what I'm presenting now, that sort of session will also do the purpose. One thing we did was, once we decided we are going to comply with accessibility guidelines, that was a agile project. So what we did, we included accessibility compliance as a part of definition of done. So it becomes a little easy then from the beginning, from the development, and while doing testing, every time on every stage, it becomes easy to follow. Progress gradually. As if you remember in my slides, I shared there are three levels. Of course, level A is comparatively easy to achieve compared to double A and triple A. So that one thing which can help is initially, if we just aim for level A, if once that is achieved, gradually we can aim for double A or triple A. So that is another suggestion. Ask for help in community. In past there were not many resources available, but luckily now I, all companies, Microsoft, service provider, anyone in community. A lot of things are happening. I want to acknowledge and appreciate, in Scottish Summit we have a complete full track or about accessibility. So please ask for help if you are not sure about something. A lot of resources are available, and that is all. uh, Here are a few links which I want to share. uh, I, and these first of all, accessibility initiative, that is from W3 organization. Again, web content accessibility guideline, WCAG documentation, worth reading. At least just review it if you want to understand accessibility. And disability answer desk, that is a sort of service from Microsoft. That is a team which is specifically working with accessibility. If you have any question, if you are not sure about something, please feel free and get in touch with them. And Microsoft accessibility conformance reports, that is really a nice resource. Microsoft have provided reports relevant to accessibility for almost all of their products. If you want to know for a particular product what accessibility level that have, you please go to this link, just type the name of product, and you will see the report. That report will tell if there are any exception or what level. It don't say directly what level a product is, but it definitely tells if there are any exceptions. And good thing is these reports were updated, I think last year in 2020. So they are updated and they are as per WCAG 2.1 standard. So that is all from me. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for your time. I want to say thanks to Scottish Summit organizers, volunteers, supporters, everyone. And we will see if there are any questions before closing.